Alrighty, so the opening night action of CCL is in the books, and while we saw two MLS teams did relatively well on the road facing their CCL opponent in the first leg of the round of 16, we also saw a bad result, and I think that's also put it lightly, because what we saw in this game between Austin and Violette is going to go down as one, if not the most embarrassing performance we have seen an MLS team has in the CONCACAF Champions League. Now, I get it that Josh Wolf tried to maybe put a reserve team in this one, thinking that that would be a way for them to coast to either a 0-0 draw or maybe even sneak out of 1-0 win and then head back to Q2 Stadium and absolutely smash Violette to move on into the next round. But I think this game kind of also just kind of a big reminder that you simply cannot disrespect your opponent, and that you have to respect your opponent to a way that, you know, they can definitely surprise you. And I think Austin clearly disrespected Violette in this one with the way that they were putting just a C team in this one and a team that rarely played with each other, and you can clearly see the inexperience as this game play along. And yeah, I mean, with the way how this game ends, you know, I think coming out of this game, not only there is a concern of whether or not if Austin can turn this around, but there has to be huge concern the fact that the lack of depth of this team could maybe even hurt them going long term, even into the MLS season. Now, in the first half, and before we talk about the first half, this game was played at the Dominican Republic. Not a big surprise because, you know, Haiti has been going through a bit of a crisis for the past couple of years, and Violette has been playing in the Dominican Republic as a result of that. But in the first half, I gotta give a lot of credit to the Violette fans. I mean, you know, they really brought the energy into this one. They were playing some good Haitian music. I think they said it was the rock band that it is called. But, you know, they were playing the music, even the play-by-play commentary. There was a couple of times even Keith Costigan mentioned it. Even Alexi Lawless mentioned it a couple of times. Which, by the way, I'm kind of glad the music was there, because I think we can all agree that no one like Alexi Lawless as the color commentator, and that music, you know, I think they wish Fox maybe put up the audio for that music so that they can maybe just mute what Alexi Lawless was saying, because yeah, I think I probably should have just watched the 2D end stream, knowing the fact that Alexi Lawless was commentating this game, because you can clearly see he was clearly biased toward Austin in this one, and he even reluctant to say that, yeah, you know, he's reluctant the fact that probably Austin have digged themselves in too big of a hole to even come back into the second leg. But nevertheless, there was a lot of possession early for Los Verdes, as the possession was 60-40 in favor of, well, actually it's not Violette, but in favor of Austin. But Violette did get the first shot of the game in the 7th minute, as this one was from who blasted wide from close range. By the way, if I haven't said it before, I do apologize if I butcher some of these names. But yeah, he blasted that one wide from close range. But then in the 13th minute, Violette took the lead, and it's Shuri that scores from Luima to give Violette a 1-0 lead, and Austin just got caught out in the transition. And get used to me saying that too, because that was kind of the story of this game, where that Austin backline just had no answer in terms of dealing with transitional play when Violette trying to counter them. In the 15th minute, Pierre would puts it high from long range, and like I said, Violette was just killing Austin with its high press and transition. And I even wrote, this sounds like how St. Louis beat Austin, because, you know, I feel like Violette probably saw how St. Louis was able to beat Austin by kind of playing that energy drink soccer kind of ran ways, and that, you know, in some way they kind of copied that with the way that they're trying to press high and trying to win the ball high up the pitch, and Austin was having a lot of trouble in terms of dealing with it. And it's also doesn't help the fact that the back line of this Austin team, you know, again, just like the rest of the team, it was makeshift, and it just completely got torched for this game, especially on the left side. In the 27th minute, Redis with Austin's first chance, but he puts that one over. I mean, you know, if Rodney Redis is in this game, I think that's also an example of no wonder why Austin did poorly, because I know a lot of Austin fans have said that if Rodney Redis touched the field for this team, they're automatically down to 10 men because of how bad he is. But I also thought that, again, it looked very disjointed from Austin. There was just no pass seen pattern whatsoever. Like, they just cannot connect any pass whatsoever, and not to mention there was just zero creativity. Like, they had some possession, but once they get past the midfield, those passes are either overhit or just simply they just cannot string any passes and just keep turning the ball over. Something that again, it wasn't a big surprise to me, considering this team that they were fielding was very inexperienced and haven't played with each other for a long time. Now, in the 36th minute, Shervy would goes for a really long range shot, but that one actually just missed wide there. But in the 39th minute, he would score his second goal, this time from Pierre to give Violette a 2-0 lead, and that was just a carbon copy of the opening goal. Like, that was just Violette going on that left side, killing that Austin backline process, putting a good cross in, and that, Sherry for the second time in a row just beat the Austin back line and just outjump his defender and puts that one in. And yeah, just like that, Violette was leading 2-0 in this one. The shock was definitely on, but we do head to halftime with that scoreline. And heading into the second half, you're wondering, well, Austin is now down to 2-0. You would expect they have a good response, right? Nope. Instead, in the 47th minute, Amr Tarek. Yeah, I think now we know why exactly he hasn't made his debut for Austin FC. Yeah, because, this moment, he basically might have just one-upped Kip Keller as one of the dumbest ways to concede a goal this season for Austin. Because, in this play, I mean, he forgot that he was playing for Los Verdes and not for Violette, because he, after an incredible save from Stuvard, he basically just kind of hammered one. I mean, he was trying to clear the ball away, but somehow he just hammered that one into the back of the net. I mean, that's a great goal if he was playing for Violette, and I wouldn't be surprised that he was secretly playing for Violette too, because with just the way that own goal happened, that is one of the craziest and one of the dumbest own goal I have seen. And I think I even gone on Twitter to see many experts in terms of reacting, and a lot of them just cannot believe it. Like, they were at first shocked, but also they just cannot stop looking at this own goal, because I think, just by the early season that Austin has had in this 2023 campaign, I think that own goal kind of sums it up, at least in these first 3 games I've seen Austin play competitively. Like, they just find some of the dumbest ways that I see them concede. I mean, it was first the Kip Keller moment, and now we see this Amr Tarek moment. I mean, that is just absolutely inexcusable. And again, I'm also surprised Brad Stuver was not on Amr Tarek there. I mean, he has to be absolutely livid. Like, he made an incredible save there, only for his center back to just kind of completely betrayed him and score an own goal there. Like, again, that was just absolutely insane, and just again sums up the night for Austin in this one. Nothing went right for this team in this game in the Dominican Republic. But I also want to mention that as much as we look back at the insane own goal, let's also not forget the fact that attack once again came from the left side. Again, the left side was just a huge problem for Austin in this one. They just cannot defend it, that left side. And it's not a big surprise that Violette once again tests that area. I mean, they might as well just keep going that area, knowing the fact that is the biggest weakness for Austin in this one. But in the 55th minute, I think Josh Wolf kind of had enough. He finally decided to bring in some reinforcement as his son Owen Wolf, Rigoni, and Gallagher was summoned into this game. Now, Driussi and Ring was not in the 18. They said that they didn't even travel to this game. I'm kind of shocked that is the case, because I feel like, yes, you want to leave some of your best player at home, maybe have them rest up, but I feel like in some way they probably should have brought them too, because in case if you have the worst case scenario and things that gone absolutely wrong, like what we saw in this game with Austin inexplicably finding themselves 3-0 down against an Haitian team, they could have had the option to bring in those difference maker, but instead they do have some good difference maker in Wolf, Rigoni, and Gallagher, and in fact Owen Wolf. I think if you ask me who's really the only standout for this Austin team, it's got to be Owen Wolf. He actually had a really good game in this one. But in the 68th minute, there was a shout for a handball for Austin that was not given. It was a bit better from Austin. At least they can start to pass the ball a little bit, but still no creativity whatsoever in the final third. Luima then blasted wide from close range before Seba would hit one right to Stewart. And again, Austin still have no answer in terms of dealing with the transitional play. And I even mentioned the band is back because, I know throughout the game the band only played for a certain minute, but the fact that they started to play in it again in the 70th minute, that was probably the highlights of this. And again, this is no disrespect to Austin, and I know Austin have a wonderful full supporter group, and their band also play really good music. But the band that played the music from the Violette fans, I mean, I really dig it. Like I wish I've seen more MLS team kind of does that. I mean, in some way, I would say the closest one I can think of is the Houston Dynamo. They also kind of play those music as the games goes along, but I just feel like this one feels a little bit more authentic compared to the horns and the trumpet that I hear whenever I watch a Houston Dynamo home game. But nevertheless, in the 73rd minute, Rigoni would hits it wide from long range before Wolf would hits it wide from close. Wolf then pulls it just wide from long range. Again, I thought Owen Wolf was probably the only player that I think had a decent game for this Austin side. And then Urruti came close in the 85th minute, but he struck the post from 10 yards out. So not this time for Maxi Urruti, trying to at least rescue a late goal for Austin. And yeah, in the end, an embarrassing loss for Austin. One of the bigger upset we have seen in recent memory in CCL. As Violette pull off the upset, and in a convincing way too, 3-0 over Austin in this one. I did run out of room in terms of putting the stats, but the shots in this one, 13 shots compared to 10 that Austin had, 6 shots on goal compared to just 1 that Austin has, 5 shots off target compared to 6 that Austin had, 3 shots that was blocked compared to 2 that Violette has in this game. And in terms of possession, Austin did have more of the possession, 59% possession compared to 41% possession that Violette has in this game. But at the end of the day, possession really doesn't matter when you can't even pass the ball and create any chances, and that's what Austin kind of did for majority of the game. And not to mention the defense just kind of decided to stay in Austin and doesn't even show up in this game against in the Dominican Republic. Yeah, there has to be huge concern for this Austin team. And again, I do think that they do have the ability to come back if they do put in those starters in the second leg, which I'm assuming they have to now to overcome this 3-0 deficit. But I think, again, what has got to be very alarming, even coming out to this game that has nothing to do with CCL, is the lack of depth of this team. And we kind of had a feeling that was going to be a big question mark, because last year Austin was very fortunate that they were one of the team that was very injury free. But now the fact that if they do suffer some injuries, oh boy, there has to be a huge concern. And we're already seeing it too. With Julio Cascante going down, they still have not found an answer in terms of getting the right replacement. Well, they kind of temporarily has with Alex Rain, but I don't think that's a long-term solution. And especially with the way that Rain does also provide some good attacking threat to this team, they lost that ability if Rain decided to play center backs at least temporarily for this Austin team. But overall, just a nightmare night. Probably the worst performance Austin has ever had in their franchise history, and they got to bounce back because in a couple of days they do have a game on the road against RSL, and then they have, I think they will be playing Violette again next week at home at Q2 Stadium. Now that being said, kind of getting the bad part of seeing MLS team getting embarrassed on the road in CCL. The good news is the rest of this video will be positive, because we start off in the next game between Alianza and the Philadelphia Union, and I think this is probably the most CONCACAF Champions League game you're going to get. Bad turf, just very, very tightly affair from what we saw from the Union in this one. And then I think we also have a peak CONCACAF moment where there was a dog that decided to invade the pitch and even decided to get into the action too. But as I said, in the first half, the turf, it looked absolutely beaten up. This was also the same stadium where the U.S. play against El Salvador for those Nations League and World Cup qualifying game. And I remember in that World Cup qualifying game, the U.S. play against El Salvador in the rain. Oh boy, it was a swamp fest, that one. So, while we didn't have that in this one, it feels like the grounds crew clearly didn't really maintain that turf at all, because you can clearly see the ball was just moving so slowly on that turf, which again, it makes perfect sense, because that's how it is with a lot of these Central American turf, and that's just something that, you know, the good news for the Union is that they're prepared for this because they have had to deal with this before for in their last CONCACAF Champions League run. But I will say that the atmosphere was absolutely electric, despite the fact that, you know, it was only a half full in the stadium. The side of the TV that they show, it was absolutely packed. Those Alianza faithful was really loud throughout this game. But I thought the Union looked good in the opening 10 minutes. But again, can they be a little bit better in the final third? The final third product was a problem. By the way, the Union, they didn't really start out the strongest team in this one. But really the difference between Austin and the Union is that the Union has a very good depth compared to what we see with Austin, and it's not a big surprise considering most of the reserve player that they have comes from that very talented academy system that they have. Now, in the 11th minute, one of those bright academy player, Quinn Sullivan, would puts it high from close range. There was a shout for a penalty for the Union as Sullivan, or actually not Sullivan, it was actually Donovan, the one that went through on goal, and he thought that he was brought down by Gonzalez as he went through on goal, but nothing was given, and I think it was the right call because I think Donovan kind of embellished that a little bit, and in some way he didn't need to dive there. Like, he could have just kept going, could have had a big opportunity to give the Union the lead. On the other end, Blake would deny Mercado as the flag went up, and I thought Alianza started to dominate the game. So despite the Union kind of controlled the first 15 minutes, the momentum kind of shifted to the host, and this is where the Union, they gotta ride out the storm, and this is a key part with MLS team when they have to go on the road against a CCL team or even against a team in Central America. They need to ride out that pressure, which the Union does a good job in terms of it. But we do head to halftime scoreless between both of these teams. Now, in the second half, once again, it was a promising start for the Union. They were on the front foot. But the shots were only 5-4 in favor of the Union, and they're still yet to register a shot on goal. And again, the formula that the Union follow and the formula that Jim Curtin follow in this one is very typical for an MLS team going on the road. They want to play for that draw. They trying to maybe make it a little bit compact and take their chances in terms of heading into that second leg at home. But at the same time, we also kind of saw that he maybe is not thinking about a 0-0 draw, Jim Curtin, because he seems to go for it by bringing in some of his starter as Carranza, Martinez, and Gastag is summoned into this game. In the 58th minute, probably one of the better chances that the Union has with Gonzalez denying Torres from close range. And then on the other end, Rodriguez would drive one right to Andre Blake. And then we have the highlight of this game where a dog decided to invade the pitch. And again, I even wrote, chalk that up in the CCL bingo card. I mean, if you have the CCL bingo card, I'm pretty sure it's filled up to a point where you probably got at least 3 or 4 bingo on the bingo card, because there were some wild things that happened in tonight's CCL action, and I'm glad that is kind of the case, because that's just a reminder that the CONCACAF Champions League is back. But yeah, if you have that on the bingo card, take that off, because that only happens in the CCL. Like, you don't see, and well, you might sometimes see animal kind of invade the pitch, but just a dog invading the pitch and even play with the ball for a little bit, I mean, that is clearly peak CCL moment. And again, you know, if you have that in the bingo card, chalk that one up in your bingo card, that is. And then we got some pushing and shoving that happened in the game. So again, if you have that in the bingo card too, then chalk that one up too, because you know that some of these games can sometimes be a little bit intense. But as the time winds down, you know, the Union, they were kind of chasing for that elusive away goal, but at the same time, they were also being cautious the fact that Alianza can go on the break and trying to steal one late. And you know, fortunately for the Union, that did not happen. But unfortunately for the Union, they weren't able to get that elusive away goal, as in the end, it ends scoreless between both of these teams. This one, 7 shots for the 8 that the Union has, 1 shot on goal for the 2 that Alianza had. Both teams had 4 shots off target, 1 shot that was blocked compared to the 3 that the Union has, and possession-wise, 54% possession compared to 46% possession that the Union has in this game. And overall, you know, job done for Jim Curtin team. You know, they want to get a draw in this one. I mean, it would be nice for them to get an away goal and maybe get some comfort heading into that second leg, but I do believe that this team should have enough to beat Alianza in the second leg, and that, you know, this resort was a decent resort, and just kind of a old-fashioned tough a way kind of resort that I think Union fans shouldn't be complaining heading into the second leg, where I just do think that they do have an upper hand and potentially could pull off the victory against Alianza to move on into the next round. But that being said, I would say that that is actually not the most impressive resort that we've seen in tonight's action. In fact, the most impressive resort, and this is definitely going to go down as one of the most amazing resort I've seen an MLS team have done in CCL on the road. Orlando City. How about those Lions? I mean, they pull off something that I didn't think was possible, of them getting a 0-0 draw against Tigres. And this was not a 0-0 draw where, you know, it was just maybe Orlando City kind of parking the bus for the whole game. Well, actually, I would say mostly part of that. But I also thought Orlando City had some chances in this one too. In fact, this actually turns out to be one of the more entertaining 0-0 draws that I've seen in the CONCACAF Champions League. And this one kind of reminds me a little bit of the game between the Colorado Rapids and Sporting KC opening the weekend. Again, where, you know, I talked about how William Yarbrough was not allowing Sporting KC to score a goal. Well, in this one, it's Pedro Galese, El Pupo. He's basically saying that, yeah, I'm not gonna let Tigres score any goal in this one too. But in the first half, Gignac did hit one right to Galese before there was a shout for a penalty from Tigres that was not given. Not a big surprise, because you know that Liga MX's team is going to try to look for a soft one. And by the way, you know, I haven't talked about refereeing in these games, and I gotta say, you know, this is something that is kind of uncharacteristic in CCL action, but I thought the referee in all three of these games were excellent. I mean, there were times where you kind of see those typical kind of CCL moment where maybe a yellow card was handed out that probably shouldn't, and maybe there should have been a yellow card that's handed out, but it isn't, or even a red card or just a rough challenge that is handed out as a yellow card because of CCL reason. But overall, the refereeing in all three of these games were some of the best refereeing I've seen, and in this one, I think this was definitely one of the best refereeing game I've ever seen in CCL, and it's also no wonder why the quality of this game was very well. But in the 7th minute, Gignac went through on goal, but he hits that one right to Galese, and yeah, Orlando got away with one there. And you're not going to see Andre Pierre Gignac miss a lot of chances like that, but that was definitely a warning shot for Orlando City. In fact, they got like 2 warning shots from Gignac too, as I didn't think they did a good job in terms of containing him. Galese then denied Gignac from close range before Enrique has the first chance for Orlando, but he blasts that one high. But I thought Orlando seems to weather the early storm. Like, early on, it was all Tigres. It looked like it was kind of predictable where, yeah, Tigres is going to get an early goal, and then this could get ugly for Orlando City. But credit Orlando City. They weathered that storm. They started to slow down the pace of this game, which exactly is what Oscar Pereira wants in this one. They don't want to get into a frantic game with Tigres. That is basically a death sentence, especially when you're playing on the road for a CCL game. And I think they did a good job in terms of slowing down the pace and just not allowing Tigres to go for it. In fact, there was multiple times where I also saw them do classic kind of shithousery, which again, it's not a big surprise because Orlando City, even in MLS, I've seen them done that classic shithousery, and especially Oscar Pereira, coming from a guy that also have coached Liga MX before. He know how it is to shithouse a resort and so forth. But nevertheless, in the 24th minute, Ojeda did have a chance, but he fires one into the stands. I thought Ojeda had a really good game in this one. Very unlucky to not get a goal in this. And then Gorian puts it wide off the mark in the 30th minute. The shots were 7-3 in favor of Tigres through 38 minutes, but again, they still have yet to break through up to that point. Angulo then hits one right to Guzman in the 45th minute. We then had some coming together after it looks like Gignac and Schlegel kind of was on the ground and kind of come together. And originally, Gignac actually was shown a red card in this one. Now, I was absolutely shocked when they gave Gignac a red card there, because that was just completely against what we've seen in CCL before. Where I think it would have been just crazy to see a referee just have that much of the bravery to hand out a red card, especially in front of the Tigres faithful and possibly their best player. And I think eventually Geniac kind of did good enough in terms of intimidating that referee to a point where, yeah, the referee did have to go to the VAR monitor to see whether or not indeed if that is worthy of a red card. And when I look on the replay, yeah, I don't think that was a red card. I think that was more like Schlegel trying to maybe sell one. And why not? Because we've seen it before where if you decided to maybe kind of make a little bit meal out of it, we're going to see referee decided to reach out for the card. But, in this case, it wasn't the case. They overturned the call, and rightfully so, because I don't think that is worthy of a red card. In fact, I think Schlegel kind of got lucky. He got away with a yellow here because he kind of put Geniac in a chokehold, and when you decide to do that, I mean, in league play, that could definitely be borderline of being a red card, but in CCL, that's definitely worthy of a yellow card, and I don't blame Geniac to react like that because he must be very frustrated when that, of course, has happened. But nevertheless, we do head to halftime, scoreless between both of these teams, and in the second half, if you thought the first half there was plenty of chances and it was entertaining, you have not seen what happened in the second half, because this is when the game really started to open up. But again, I thought Orlando was clearly playing for the 0-0 draw. They even subbed a defensive midfielder here for a striker. And again, Tigres, they were looking at active to try to get the first goal in the first couple of minutes and pressing for the opener. Gorion had a chance to do so. In fact, he went for the Olympico there, but Galese was able to tip that one onto the post. And then Galese denied Samir on a header from close range before. On the other end, Guzman would deny Ojeda on a rare Orlando chance, and then he had to deny Torres from long range. And again, like the first half, Orlando, they were able to ride out that original pressure that Tigres put coming out of the half. But unlike the first half, they started to create some decent chances and started to ask the Tigres goalkeeper some question too in this one. Aquino then slipped and because he slipped there, he wasn't able to put this one on target and puts that one wide before Gonzalez puts it high in the near post. And I just thought this game was up for grabs. Like, both of these teams, they were not afraid to trying to go for it. Carioca then puts one into the stands before Geniac would heads it wide from the corner. I believe Geniac got a free header there. And again, Andre Pierre Geniac, they mentioned that he's been suffering some injuries, and that I just didn't think that this was a game where we saw the best of Geniac, which I think for Orlando City, they'll take that. But in the 71st minute, there was a huge shout for a penalty for Tigres that was not given. Another huge shout for a penalty, this time for a handball for Tigres, was not given. In fact, the flag went up for offside, so that basically neglect the handball. But even if that flag didn't came up, that was never going to be a handball. That one looked like, I think it was, who was it? I think it was Araujo, the one that looks like that ball hit his hand there, but I don't think that was the case. Geniac then hits one right to Galese. Again, Geniac had a good look in this one, and I think if this was a healthy Geniac, he would have put that one away. The shots were now 15-8 in favor of Tigres, and this is kind of where we started to see Orlando City really bunkering. Like, they were just holding on for dear life. But I will say this about Orlando City: we saw them do this a lot last season. And I gotta say, there is one team that does the best job in terms of holding on for dear life on the road to squeeze out a result. It's Orlando City. They've done a really good job of it, and they were trying to do it again in this one. But in the 79th minute, Galese was able to deny Cordova, and again, Orlando was just hanging on by a thread. Guzman then had a very, very scary moment where he basically got caught in no man's land as he was coming off his lines, completely misjudged the flight of the ball, and Ojeda was trying to punish him because of it and chip it into the empty net, but that one missed behind. Pizarro then hits it toward actually he hit the post there on a free header. By the way, I was started to run out of room. I was getting a little nervous right at the end of the game. Not only was hoping Orlando can hold on, but I was kind of running out of room. I probably would have had to get another board to write down these notes. But yeah, in the 88th minute, this really kind of probably stopped the heart of every Orlando City fans when Pizarro hit the post on a free header from the corner. They did not do a good job in terms of dealing with him. In fact, he outjumped his defender and Orlando very lucky. The fact that that one hit the post. And then Samir would hit it wide from close range. And yeah, I mean, again, it was definitely the squeaky bum time. Pretty sure every Orlando City fans was just on their edge of the seat and biting pretty much their entire fingernail off, hoping that their team can hold on and not suffer a classic free space moment in CCL. But thankfully for them, they did. As Orlando City pull off just an incredible feat of a 0-0 result against Tigres. I mean, just to tell you how big that feat is, Tigres has always been a team that has been an absolute killer for MLS team, and especially when we see MLS team, like when we see MLS team go to Mexico, it's always tough for them to get a resort, and not a lot of team to do so. But to do it in out Volcan, a place that is just basically a graveyard for teams coming in MLS to get resort, this is definitely one of the best and most impressive resort. In fact, you can tell that Orlando City got a huge resort when at the full-time whistle, Alvocon basically erupted with boos. Like those Tigres fans, they were absolutely livid with their home team. And mind you, this is a team that is currently second in Liga MX, and many have said that they're supposed to be the team that is the favorites to win CCL this year. So the fact that Orlando is able to hold on to get a 0-0 draw on the road against the size of this Tigres team, I mean, bravo to Orlando City, and I really think I am very excited to see what they can do in the second leg. But the shots in this one, 21 shots compared to 9 that Orlando City has, 3 shots on goal compared to 8 that Tigres had, 10 shots off target compared to 6 that Orlando City has, no shots that was blocked compared to 3 that Tigres has, and possession-wise, 62% possession compared to 38% possession that Orlando City has in this game. And whatever Orlando City does in the second leg, I will also say that even if they lose that second leg, this has been an incredible performance for an MLS team facing against a team that, again, historically, Tigres has just been a killer for MLS team. And if Orlando City can pull off this upset, yeah, all of a sudden we can say that this CCL can be a little bit wide open, and that, you know, this maybe could be a step in terms of what we're once again going to see an MLS team winning CCL again. I mean, so far, you know, besides the awesome resort, this has been a great start for MLS team in CCL, and we'll see whether that's going to continue tomorrow with the Vancouver Whitecaps playing in CCL, and then on Thursday we see LAFC facing against one of the better team in Costa Rica in Alajuelense. But let me know in the comments below, what do you think of this review of the opening night action in CCL? And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys leave a like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.